one night around a fire can bring in so many moments of profound contemplation.
Just the fire brings us together. The light, oh, it's warm.
Super rainy that weekend, and we had fires going, and that's where everybody clustered to. That's where everybody's coming for collective warmth and getting out of that colder element and coming together. And yeah, that's where all the stories were told, and your connections with people was around the fire.
I feel like fire is a natural element that brings community. Whenever there's light, whenever there's warmth, people tend to gather. And that's one of the most beautiful things about fire, is that it represents that light and that warmth of community, of connection that we have with each other.
We need water, we need clean air, we need fire in its many forms, right? To cook our food, to keep ourselves warm.
Fire is the closest thing we have to any major tool that can just change our world if we didn't have it. Fire is direct energy. Fire gives us the ability to heat our homes, gives us the ability to have light in the dark. There's a lot of moments where fire is giving us the opportunity to even protect ourselves.
You have a thing to look at that can take your attention, and you can take it back and have conversations and not have conversations. Like having a fire like releases some of the social pressures of being with a group of people. There's less demand for direct interaction when we have a thing to look at, right? But it gives a lot more space for interaction than a movie or a concert that's very loud.
It's an amazing force to behold. There's a spiritual feeling, like it has intelligence. So fire is both a destructive force, but it's also, in a lot of ways, fire is what makes humanity what we are. The control of fire, using fire for cooking, using fire to burn our landscapes, using fire to create internal combustion engines, that's what makes us humans.
It's one of the foundational things with all of us, and with what draws us together. It keeps us warm. It provides for us in different ways. It's super integral for us.
There's so many moments with fire that inspire someone to perform or someone to dance and to share whatever their gifts are with community.
I really saw that this was an element that was really important as far as artists expressing themselves.
The activities that we do in community as fire spinners kind of have their foundation in that very old story.
I definitely think about the flame, and I think about the graceful movements and the constant shifting in and out of the way that a fire dances and how fluid that can be. Yeah, fire is the ultimate element of creativity.
Ivizia Dakini. I have been working with fire for 21 years. I live in Las Vegas. However, I split my time between Portland and Las Vegas, traveling a lot to do my fire performances and other performances that I love. I got into fire dancing, I believe it was 1998, when I was at a National Rainbow Gathering in Montana, and I heard this drum circle and crowd cheering in the middle of the forest, and I was like, what is happening? What is that? And as we got closer, I saw a girl spinning fire, and I had never seen it before, and I was locked into her, and I said to myself, I want to do that.
My name is Randy. I live in what's currently known as Portland, Oregon. I make and sell props for play, practice, and performance that can or not be lit on fire, and have been doing so for 10 to 15 years. A lighter, if I had to like go forth into the wilderness with one prop, right? Like this is my prop. But when I used to go to rainbow gatherings, like when I was like a teenager or like late teenager after high school, I would work like trolling the fire for people to cook on, right? So it's all about like keeping the fire burning really hot, not making smoke in the cook's eyes, right? Like being really like in this like hot fire, and that was nice. You realize that like we're cooking with fire all the time, we're using fire in all of these ways that aren't specifically flames, and how the flame is like the essence of like all of these things that we do, but hidden from us because of its like destructive abilities, which is part of what's so powerful and appealing, right? While at the same time, a little bit scary.
Hi, my name is Jewls, and I'm a healthcare practitioner of Chinese medicine. I'm in Portland, Oregon, and my relationship with fire is that it is a very ceremonial tool for me almost every day of my life, and definitely during the solstice and the equinox times. The moment that I first connected with fire was probably just out camping with friends. It's definitely the kind of element that you just get drawn into, and you can just watch it dance in front of you and do all of the amazing changes that is known of any form of transformation that we go through in life, or that any element goes through in life. It's the most magical. So I feel like I definitely have had a love of fire for most of my life, but it was in sweat lodges that I actually decided that there was a specific role to be played. And so I became primary fire tender for my hoop for the last 13, 14 years, tending fire for ceremony at the equinoxes and the solstice. When you tend a fire, you're setting ceremony for the entire day. You show up early, you collect the stones, you collect the wood, you collect the sacreds that you want to put on the altar, and you set an intention as you are building fire. You lay down the wood, the grandfathers, in order to prepare a platform to support the grandmothers while they'll actually be baking within the protection and the warmth of the wood. And the rocks or the stones are called the grandmothers. And so you build a fire with stones on top of the wood platform, and then you actually build around that with more wood. You set it on fire, and you sing while you are setting it on fire in order to call in spirits of benevolence to carry the ceremony in the most healing and pure, sacred way. And the fire itself is what is creating the warmth the penetration for you to do your work when it comes to any spiritual intentions, mental, emotional releases, or physical healing that you may have. Whenever there's warmth, people tend to gather. And that's one of the most beautiful things about fire, is that it represents that light and that warmth of community, of connection that we have with each other, There's a lot of metaphors about the light within, the burning heart, the burning flame, the beloved. And fire is a real representation of that. It really always brings in the opportunity to meet someone new who has come to the fire, perhaps for healing, perhaps for gazing, somebody who may want to take on a role with the fire with you as a fire tender during ceremony, and sometimes just at a gathering with friends who want to hold intentional fire in order to burn away or to call in intentions for ourselves.
So I see that in like all of our jams. I think about like the Fire Friday in Portland that used to happen. That would bring together a lot of people every week. It was like something reliable, a place where they could go and be around people, right? And be able to like get up and show off, or get up and spin, but stay in the back and stay to themselves. And you could sit at the fire and have conversations, or sit at the fire and not have conversations, but you knew that if you were going to go there on a Friday, there would be people and there would be space for you to fill or not fill.
This was an element that was really important as far as artists expressing themselves, and also being able to work as fire performers was incredibly important, especially in a city like Portland, where we live in an area where art is celebrated and welcomed, and people will go out and pay good money to see a fire performance.
So yeah, there's the element of how flow brings together a lot of people. We immediately have a community at many different gatherings, parties, random festivals, and I think that that's really sweet, because I think many of us have experienced moments of, even showing up at a festival alone and just feeling a little weird, being like, okay, I'm here. But you find your flow people, you've got something that you're passionate about, you can dance, you've got a prop. It's always been really good for me.
I decided to produce an event called Fire Entertainer of the Year. And to be honest, when I started this, I did it with hesitation, because I didn't want there to be backlash about competition mixed in with fire, because I was ultimately doing it for the community. I wanted to bring a platform, a stage for performers who normally don't get up on stage and say, hey, I'm really good at what I do. I want to show you, and maybe I want to win some money. So the great thing about Fire Entertainer of the Year is that it did receive really positive feedback from the community and from the audience. And that's the reason that I've continued to do it over these years, because I really do enjoy seeing these incredible entertainers having an opportunity to get on stage and perform to not only just an audience, but an audience of people who are absorbing everything that these people are giving them.
I feel like that's the medicine for a lot of what a lot of us have been feeling in the last 2 years, is being able to share all this together and have another, Fire Drum sunrise, or Burning Man sunrise, and Pack Fire sunrise. These are some of my favorite experiences in my whole life, and they still give me a lot of meaning. So that's how I feel about it.
Amen to that.
My name is Justin Amanita, and I live in Rollins Lake, California.
My name is Ian Plimmer, and I live in Lake Tahoe, California.
And also our professional name is Organic Pyrotechnic. We are the OG Pyros.
We are the OG Pyro.
There have been two facets that I've had a professional relationship to fire. The main one is fire performance. Yeah, I've been fire dancing since 2006, so a solid 15, almost 16 years now. And then my other experience is dealing with wildfires.
I first saw fire dancing in 1990 at the Oregon Country Fair and really started spinning staff basically the next year, and I didn't really start doing fire until around 96, 97. I was also a wild band firefighter for a number of years, almost 5 years. So cornstarch breathing is really the act of putting a dry organic powder, cornstarch powder, in your mouth and really blowing it out in a condensed but concise form in order to make the oxygen and heat combust. Developing the cornstarch, it really ended up, there was a lot of adapt and overcome that happened that, it took a lot of commitment, and really once I hit a wall with the development of kind of what you can do as a solo artist with cornstarch, there was really a big draw to try to get somebody, find a partner, so that way we can start really expanding the realm of this of the cornstarch breathing. And that was when I ended up meeting up with Justin, and we really started kind of pioneering the duo fire breathing.
The other things that I learned from fire have a lot to do with inspiration. You know, one night around a fire can bring in so many moments of profound contemplation. You know, there's so many moments with fire that inspire someone to perform or someone to dance and to share whatever their gifts are with community.
I saw some amazing fire dancers. They were really coordinated. Their dancing was on point. You could tell there was a magic to their flow, and they really had everyone, including me, mesmerized. And that's when I realized that fire dancing could be a transformative experience as a performance. I wanted to do that. I wanted to be someone that could create a performance that would create a good feeling and it's almost a stoppage of time, like where time stands still and you're in the moment. And that presence can happen for the performer and for the audience.
Nobody was really doing fire performances back then, especially on a professional level, and you had to seek out other performers if you wanted to learn something. There was nothing on the internet, there was nothing in a book that you could look up. It was all a skill and a trade that was handed down by the interaction with other fire performers.
And then the first time I spun fire was on a rooftop in Brooklyn about a year later, and couldn't remember any of the things that I had been practicing, 'cause it's just this like whoosh, 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 and flames and hot and bright and you can't see.
And the fire just becomes an element or maybe another being or spirit that's actually on stage with you. And as you develop your relationship with that fire, you understand this can hurt me, this can hurt my audience, I could burn this building down if I'm not careful. So it's a very volatile element to be working with.
I would say that fire has taught me many things. Learning how to work with fire and not get burned is a very important part of working with fire.
For me, I'm still a passionate fire dancer, but I've been burned a few times in many different ways, and I'm also reminded to be a careful fire dancer.
If you plan to work with fire, you will get burned no matter what. Guaranteed. As the interest of fire performance grows within our community, the only thing I could say about people wanting to get into it is find a professional, do a search, find someone in your community to help teach you and guide you. Most fire performers are really excited and willing to show you what they know and how to get into the art. So good luck. Get burned a little bit so you enjoy that, and be safe with it.
My name's Andrew Lacey. I'm a metalsmith. I've been interested in working with metal since I was in junior high, and I live in the Portland metro area. My relationship with fire is pretty much all-consuming. I'm a welder fabricator. Like, there's fire that's involved in most of the process of how I move metals and materials or change them. Welding. The process of welding is taking two parent materials and adding some kind of filler material. You're using heat, whether that's electricity or some combustible fuel or plasma, and superheating and creating this super hot fire that's going to join all those materials together. I think one of the neat ways that some of the fire art that I've done, like, brought people together in a sense was there was a bar in Inner Southeast that no longer exists, but I did a outdoor like chimney fireplace with all these like 20 different exhaust pipes that were the flue for it to get all the smoke out, but they went all over the place, these pipe fittings. But it was this like central piece in their outdoor patio, which in the Pacific Northwest you have to have some kind of warming station 3/4 of the year to be able to use your outside space. But I remember going down there the first time after I'd installed it, like going down there a week later, and like people were just having their food around it and warming by it. And I was like, wow, things already like broken in and dirty, and it's well used, and there's so many people getting warmed by it. It was really neat to see.
So we're talking about a lot of different things, right? We're talking about fire, this like element that like embodies like creation and destruction in a way that every element does, right? Like there's tornadoes and there's floods and shit, right? But like I could burn down houses, right? Like I couldn't flood a forest, right? But I could burn one down.
So a lot of these fires are one cigarette ash out somebody's window or somebody's car that was sparking, and then that's a 200,000 acre wildfire. So realizing that fire is a creative force, it's amazing, it's beautiful, it's spiritual, it's a vehicle to higher personal power, and it's also a way to get injured, it's a way to potentially cause a fire or a bad situation.
You're taking fire and you're molding this super hard material and shaping it and loving it and creating something, and yeah, it's gonna outlive you by tenfold, hopefully. It's got a level of permanence that we don't have.
I think it's because it's so easily destructive more than any other elements. It's like the one that we're very apprehensive about. It's dangerous, it hurts. You touch it, it hurts, right? It can like seriously harm people in spaces.
The absolute, pure destruction, the pure intensity of this element, of this earth element. And it's like, when you're fighting fire, you're going to war. You're going to war with Mother Nature. And you're trying to win, and you don't always win.
Fire is a natural part of the earth, and all the ways of the elements have to be balanced. So when you live in a volcanic area like we do here in the Cascades in Oregon, you can see the benefits of what fire and volcanic eruptions have brought to the fertility of our region.
It's an amazing force to behold. It feels, there's a spiritual feeling like it has intelligence. And even doing firefighting before this, I felt like fire is an intelligent being. All spot fires want to connect into one big fire. There's a lot. It's crazy and incredible and unbelievable, but so fire is both a destructive force, but it's also, in a lot of ways, fire is what makes humanity what we are. The control of fire, using fire for cooking, using fire to burn our landscapes, using fire to create internal combustion engines. That's what makes us humans.
It can feel powerful to be close to fire, right? It feels powerful to walk on coals, right? It feels powerful to engage directly with the element, right? They can really hurt you a lot more easily than most other elements, right? Like you can bathe in water and it's quite pleasant, right? Like bathing in fire is quite unpleasant, right? But teasing that line is a lot of fun.
One of the best things to do if you really need time to inspire yourself or to just sit and have stillness and let whatever thoughts need to come through to find your way for clarity is to watch fire.